just finished a survey of the 18 largest gardens in the United States. And my question was to find out how much plant diversity is in gardens. And this is part of the whole idea of the value of gardens for biodiversity and conserving plants. So I got responses, and the first thing that blew me away is that this garden in Berkeley is probably the most diverse plant collection in the United States.
Wow.
Not only that, no garden comes close to us in that most of our plants are wild collected, which means that this is like a gene bank of natural species. You know, a lot of gardens have big floral displays, and that's very important. They're beautiful. Hundreds of roses and hundreds of daylilies. We specialize in native, not just native California, but in species from their native habitat. Not a lot of horticultural man-made things, hybrids and pretty things that grow in the garden, just for growing in the garden. We have over 1,300 endangered plants here. Now,
Awesome.
on top of all that, are plants from all over the world, every continent except one. You know which continent is not here? Antarctica. But as soon as that melts, then we'll get some plants from Antarctica.
I believe in you.
But not only do we have plants from all over the world, we have in-depth collections. So our California native plant collection is the biggest anywhere. No one has more native California plants. We have like 30% of all the recognized native California plants growing here in the garden.
That's awesome.
So it's an awesome collection right in the middle of Berkeley at a university. I'm comparing us to the big gardens like New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, Missouri Botanical Garden. There's only one other university garden that I even thought might compare, and that's Harvard's Arnold Arboretum, but they have just a fraction of what we have. And they're an arboretum, which means a lot of lawns and trees, whereas we have this intense thing. So why is it worth coming here? This is an incredible biodiversity center. And then on top of it, the way we plant things is kind of unusual. We plant geographically. So what a visitor experiences here is literally going around the world. If you walk just our main road, you'll feel like you're going through Africa. You'll feel like you're then entering Asia, and suddenly you're in Australasia or the Mediterranean. We have some pretty roses too. We have a rose garden. We have a pretty medicinal herb garden, things like that. So, but it's a very special kind of collection. And why should people come here besides just the beauty of it? We have to preserve this. This is an unequal collection, and you couldn't reproduce this collection today. You couldn't get the plants we have. The university supports the garden, but only gives me about a quarter of my budget. So we have to keep this place going. We have to raise 75% of the budget that it takes to pay the staff. And we're not heavily staffed, okay? We don't have a lot of administrators. And you might say, well, I'm an administrator, but I not only sort of run the garden, when there's a rattlesnake in the garden, I have to catch it.
Oh my goodness.
If something's broken, I help fix it. I sort of pitch, I like to do everything too. So coming here is sort of a win-win. The person who comes is going to learn something, is going to enjoy themselves, and at the same time, they're helping to support an incredibly valuable resource. And the Bay Area in particular should feel an enormous sense of pride that they have this just in their backyard. That it's not a backwater, it's not a little university, and it's not a garden just for students and faculty. It's a public garden. We're here to serve the public. Now, beyond the collection, we do other things that are, I think, quite important for local people. We have a big conservation program. We're in charge of some of the most endangered plants in the Bay Area. We We are sponsored by Fish and Wildlife and the Center for Plant Conservation to go out, collect seeds, and propagate some plants that are virtually extinct now. If you read the news not long ago, the news about Doyle Drive, which is this big highway construction project in San Francisco, the new Doyle exit to or entrance to the Golden Gate Bridge. They started to tear it up, and someone discovered growing in the middle of the area they're about to tear up a manzanita, the Franciscan manzanita, which no one has seen since about 1945. They thought it was extinct. Turns out we have one growing here, has been growing here in the garden, but that was considered to be the last one in the wild. And we now have 57 rooted cuttings of it.
So would that be important to like change the genetics and the DNA or
Well,
whatever?
what you want to do is two things. You want to preserve whatever DNA is left, but you also want to not just have one plant. Now the problem, you raise a good point. So we have 57 babies of that plant, but they're not really babies. They're pieces of the plant, which means they're genetically identical. It's kind of risky when you have everything left in one organism. You can lose the diversity of the plant, which means that it's not going to be well suited if the environment changes. It may not have a lot of resilience. So we have that, and then we have an education. We have one of the biggest K-12, mostly K-8 outreach programs on campus. We do teacher training. We have well-trained docents who go out to school and teach things like botany on your plate, where they take grocery store vegetables and teach botany from it to kids, at the same time teaching them about nutrition.
That's clever.
And, should you eat a red pepper or a green pepper? Do you know the difference between a red and a
Isn't
green
one
pepper?
aged more than the other or something?
One is more mature.
Yes.
So which one's better for you?
Green. Red.
She wins. The vitamins that give it red are important vitamins, and the green one doesn't have them yet.
Oh.
That's why red potatoes are better
Oh, well,
than
that
white
would make
potatoes.
sense.
So, in addition to going out, everyone knows that school gardens are big now. Well, we have helped develop 46 school gardens in the Bay Area. We also bring thousands of school kids into the garden for our special tours as part of the curriculum. So, for example, we have a tour called Native California Plants and People. You can get a brochure, a little booklet, and walk around. We have docents who teach them about how what the native plants are and how the native peoples use those plants. And then we have adult public tours for people. We have programs, we have lectures, we have classes on how to grow certain plants. I mean, I could keep going. So I hope that answers why people should come here.
That's awesome.
There are a lot of reasons.
And just one more question. How long have you been with the garden?
I've been the director since 2003, seven years.
Awesome.
But I'm an old Berkeley professor. I came to Berkeley with the free speech movement in 1964.
Very cool. You're the best.